I'm Edward Warfield, the publisher of CityBiz, and I'm honored today to interview Paul Burke, the CEO of Definitive Logic. Welcome, Paul.
Hi, Edwin. Thanks for having me today.
Can you provide an introduction and an overview of Definitive Logic?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Definitive Logic, management and technology consulting, specifically digital transformation. The way we're structured is we specialize in practice areas built around your mission support function or shared services, so financial management, human capital, asset management, logistics, and so forth. And then we matrix in our technology practices, which application development, cloud, cyber, and any kind of data solutions. And so we've been delivering in the federal space our entire 20 plus year history, most of that within the Defense Department and Homeland Security.
And can you drill a little deeper into the key areas of domain expertise?
Yeah, as I said, really specialized at the intersection, bringing extreme subject matter expertise around those functional areas of financial management, human capital, marry that with real rubber meets the road, just technologists, agile tiger teams. That's been our approach from the beginning. So one of the areas that we're best known for is specifically the planning, programming, budgeting, and execution process, or PPPE, within our financial management practice. That's where I spent my personal background as a practitioner. And we've been able to, in a vendor neutral way, leverage, constantly refresh and bring commercial technologies that the Fortune 500 is using to bear for our federal customers.
And Definitive Logic was founded in 2005. Can you share some of the major milestones over the last decade and a half?
Yeah, it's having been at it since the beginning as co-founder. I always tell people there was never really one big win or loss. Thankfully, it's really been a steady progression with a disciplined focus on those practice areas that's matured over time. As many small businesses, we started out by subcontracting to your big primes, big integrators, and the big four consultancies. As we developed, partnered with other small business, specifically with socioeconomic designations to get quicker access to customers. But the real game changer probably occurred 2013, 2014. We figured out how to prime for ourselves. And the way we did that was essentially a commitment to innovation and R&D. We started, instead of going to meetings with a PowerPoint, hey, we're Definitive Logic, we started building stuff. We started taking different data sets, combining it with new technologies, and just going to show people. And that was the catalyst to priming. And then over the next 6-7 years since then, it's been a steady progression from doing departmental level or command level systems to over the past certainly 5 years, enterprise-wide systems within the Air Force, Army, DHS, the civilian side with Treasury and Interior. And at this point now, we've hit kind of another milestone in terms of having access to great contract vehicles. So it's easier for customers to get access to our experts.
In April of this year, Definitive Logic acquired Digital Acquisitions. Can you tell us about the acquisition and how it integrates into the Definitive Logic programs?
Yeah, it's really, it goes back probably 2 years when we formed a board of directors in conjunction with our private equity partners in Blue Delta Capital Partners. It added another tool to the toolbox in terms of the ability to do acquisitions. We probably looked at, 7 or 8 over the past 2 years and kind of kicked the tires. But when we met the digital mobilizations team, it was like, wow, where have we been all our lives? They had the exact same commitment to doing digital transformation work, doing projects where there's an outcome on every project, and building our delivery model entirely around serving a customer and serving our people. and not going down the slippery slope into staff augmentation work. So the co-founders, Lanny Cornwell and Charles Rybeck, had spent their entire careers in defense, really the intersection of where national intelligence meets national defense. Over the recent years, they had built up to where Air Force was their biggest customer, same as ours. After that, the Army, same as us. So it was almost like too good to be true type match. And it was quickly, we moved forward quickly from there. We met probably last October, I believe. And, by December and January, we were having serious conversations about working together.
And so who are some of the key members of your leadership team?
Yeah, so now, so Lanny Cornwell, the co-founder and CEO of Digital Mobilizations, is now our chief strategy officer, and laying out our long-term strategic plan, what solution offerings, how our practice areas and solution offerings are going to mature over time. He's helping with our strategy for new markets. We'd never played in the intel space before, and that's an area where they have expertise in contracts that came aboard. In addition to that, President and Chief Customer Experience Officer, Mr. Mike Monson, is really spearheads everything we do with our customers, both from a marketing perspective, but then also the very important process, customer experience, verifying that we actually are achieving outcomes for our customers. Our Chief Growth Officer, Bob Phoebus, came aboard recently and established a disciplined pipeline process. He's been there, done that in terms of how you pursue business in the federal space. Our Chief Technology Officer, Michael Conlon, was the DoD's first Chief Data Officer. Prior to that, proven Chief Technology Officer. So that was a game-changing hire for us when he came aboard December 2020. And then Steve Hughes, our Chief Financial Officer, came aboard in the fall. Met him just before we started talking to Digital Mobilizations. And Steve's experience as a proven CFO, originally of SRA, went on the entire run with them to becoming a publicly traded company. Really blessed to have an amazing leadership team around me at the executive level. But then we've got 6 practice areas, we call them. And in each practice, financial management, human capital, asset management, on the technology side around data solutions, and application development, we've got proven leaders who are expert in that domain and really driving new offerings for digital transformation for federal customers.
And so what role do joint ventures play in your company?
Yeah, that's a big part of our strategy. So, we're going through that harrowing transition from being a small business to now a in the mid tier where companies so go to die, so to speak. You always hear joint ventures are how we're bridging that transition. So, as a small business that didn't have we don't have. I'm not a veteran. We didn't have any socioeconomic categories to get set-asides. We didn't ever rely on set-asides, but that said, we did have contract vehicles that were small business designations. And joint ventures, we've set up 2 so far, one with a company named Joint Strategic Technologies that, same as us, has deep experience in the Air Force. And we're going to leverage that relationship to bridge sort of the gap into the full and open space, and transition some of the work that we had been getting through small business vehicles such as the Air Force Small Business Enterprise Application Solutions vehicle. We've got another joint venture, called Cloud Logic that we set up with Platinum Technologies. Who's led by Jermaine Bafferty, former White House and executive at Lockheed Martin, just tremendous experience around cloud, cyber, and how to win this business in the government space. So we're leveraging his relationships and experience and expertise, particularly in Homeland Security, as well as Department of Energy, to pursue that type. So joint ventures are key. With the current administration increasing the amount of work that's going to be set aside for small businesses, that was an essential part of our strategy.
And how has the definitive logic been financed to date?
Yeah, so originally bootstrapped it. So going back to just starting out subcontracting years ago, and more recently, again, I was co-founder in 2020. Blue Delta Capital Partners came aboard, replacing my co-founder Jeremy Fisher, and now they have a non-controlling but very important stake in Definitive Logic. It was really exciting. So Phil Nolan is one of the principals there. Really just a wealth of experience. Blue Delta has an amazing credibility as a private equity firm, a really strong track record with their portfolio of companies. And they bring just experience as well as relationships, know-how, and then capital that helps us obviously make acquisitions like we just did here with digital mobilizations.
So there are congressional initiatives to improve planning, programming, budgeting, and execution, what you referred to as PPPE. Can you share some of the 5 ideas that you've suggested in your blogs?
Yeah, absolutely. This is really an area I'm personally passionate about, since I spent almost my entire career working and delivering and producing solutions to improve this process. But I was primarily focused on really the technology aspect of it, and to really put fundamental change in place in the PPPE process. And the overall acquisition process that better allows us, to compete with, great power competition, our peer adversaries in Russia and China. We're going to need to change policy, process, organizations. It can't just be technology will continue to be an enabler. That's one of the things that we've been fortunate to have success with is implementing better solutions for PPPE automation and analytics, but it's going to take more. So we've proposed, getting rid of colors of money, and we're really challenging the commission to be bold and feel that sense of urgency that we must change in order to compete. It's an important part of getting the right technologies in the hands of our warfighters. And so we've also worked with the American Society of Military Comptrollers to put together and establish a PPPE task force within ASMC that will parallel the commission. And we've already got an extreme, just unbelievable response from industry in terms of momentum and engagement around this. It's clear that people care, and I believe working in parallel with the commission that we are poised to see some groundbreaking change for the first time in really 50 years since the process was established by McNamara in the 60s.
And so what are the growth plans for Definitive Logic?
So we're going to double down on what we do best, which is focus on innovation, focus on constantly being aware of and investing in emerging technologies commercially that can benefit the federal government. We're going to, the biggest challenge of where we're at in terms of shifting gears, we put a lot of energy into the last couple years into establishing a scalable delivery model. We've been able to maintain exceptional CPARs in the high 90s for many years now. high 90% with the resolute focus on delivering, producing business value for our customers. We want to continue that, and not just there, but it's also our employee experience. So we've been fortunate enough to make the Great Place to Work lists for many years at this point. And, those challenges get harder and harder as our organization scales, becomes more and more geographically dispersed, and obviously now operating in a predominantly virtual environment. So we're investing in programs to better communicate and better engage our teams. Sharing ideas across our project teams has always been, our secret sauce, if you will, if that's a secret. How we build upon solutions and continuously improve our delivery model across each offering that we have. So we'll doubling down on that while we also continue to pursue acquisitions that can complement either where we are from a customer standpoint, from a contract vehicle standpoint, or a capability standpoint. We're going to continue to look at opportunities and be aggressive in that field, in that space going forward.
So is there any part of the Paul Burke or Definitive Logic story that you haven't shared with us that you'd like to share with us?
Oh, wow. I don't know. We've been. I just feel fortunate to be in the position we're in. It's been a lot of work over the years, and I've never been more excited to be able to do this type of work. It's a moment in time with everything going on in the news that it feels like every project is important. Not that it didn't feel that earlier in my career, but now Definitive Logic, we're at a standpoint where we're running these type of projects, and that's a really exciting point to be at. So beyond that, we're pretty meat and potatoes here, just gonna keep doing what we're doing and try to make an impact every day on every project.
So what would the Paul Burke of 2022 tell the Paul Burke of 2005?
Wow, one of the things I enjoy doing is actually sharing with. I get really excited whenever I meet someone who's recently started a business in the government contracting space, or is thinking about it, or maybe is a couple years behind where we're at. I've always been eager to share the mistakes that I've made along the way. There's just a lifetime of it feels like in those 17 years. I think the advice goes back probably to what I tell all of our people here today. Trust your people, trust your gut, and just wake up and try to stay accountable to every handshake you make every day, and things will be all right. That's beyond that. I don't know that some of the things are just experience that tough lessons learned along the way that I'm happy to share with other people. If it was possible to go back in time and share it with myself, that'd be nice.
Well, Paul, I want to thank you for sharing your story and the Definitive Logic story. It's an exciting story, and we wish you the best of luck going forward.
Yeah, thanks so much, Edwin. Really appreciate what you do at CityBiz, and appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share.